part one, I'm going to do three parts. Part one, we're going to talk about understanding the nuances of pitch correction on the VE22. So let's go ahead and explore the different facets of pitch correction on the Boss VE22 and how to dial them in effectively. So you can see pitch correction here. Yes, pitch corrections engaged. It's in electric mode. So yes, from the very front of the screen, I want to mention rather quickly, you can go between the modes, and that is all you can do right here. Ignore this little key signature thing over here. That is actually the harmony. It's very common for users to be initially confused by the harmony settings, as I said over here, that are actually separate from the primary pitch correction modes. The VE22 offers various pitch correction styles, each with adjustable intensities. So let's break down the core parameters. The mode selection. Now what you're going to want to do is, yes, you can change it from here. You can go through the modes, which start with soft. Let me engage it. Soft, hard correction. So we're in soft mode right now. We're in hard mode. Figaro, Figaro, Figaro. Now we're in electric mode. Figaro, Figaro, Figaro. Now we're in the robot Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Now we're in flat fettuccine Alfredo. So just to make sure that you understand it works. But what you really want to do is hit your menu button and then take this button and scroll down to here. It scrolls up and then it scrolls down, and the effect, that is how you're going to control it. Push this button here. Okay, so now as you can see, we're in the effect area. Switch on, switch off. Whoops, with this button here, it's off and it's on. Watch out for this part, make sure it's PTC. So otherwise you're gonna end up in short delay or chorus or flanger or phaser. It's the very first one, PTC, correct. Scroll down, and the mode flat, it's the very last. And then let's go back to the soft area, turning it all the way back, counterclockwise. And we can see the scale, the key right there, C major, A minor, and the speed. Let's delve into the options down here, like the chromatic and the key signature, major and minor, and potentially scale-based modes. Let's talk about the amount and the intensity. That's going to be the mode specifically. So mode soft is the lightest. And I just kind of gave you an idea of that. Like I said, just to give you an idea, Figaro, 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 Al Pacino. And then let's go up to something, whoops, go up to something heavier, like robot. Figaro, 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 Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Then going down and going down back to soft. All right. So now you understand the mode soft is the lightest, the most natural. As I said, a subtle amount, aka the soft mode, provides gentle nudges towards the correct pitch. So if you're trying to sing C, but you're singing a little high in C sharp or D, it should bring it back down closer to C, but very subtly and not very noticeably of the pitch correction. We want to delve into options like chromatic, specific key signatures, major and minor, and potentially scale-based modes. The amount, the intensity, the parameter controls how aggressively the pitch correction is applied. A subtle amount provides gentle nudges towards the correct pitch, while higher settings create a more noticeable or robotic effect. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of that. Home sweet home, Figaro, Figaro, Figaro. Okay, you heard that, right? Let's go from there to electric. Figaro, Figaro, home sweet home. And I'm trying to sing off on purpose to give an idea. Home sweet home, home sweet home. So the closer you are to your pitch, it's going to sound quite smooth. Versus if you're like way off like this, it will still kind of bounce around. And then the robotic, which is Figaro, 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 Al Pacino, it's kind of way off. And then we have flat, of course, as well. So soft, going back. So we have the speed and the attack. This also confuses a lot of people, and that's understandable. The setting dictates quickly the pitch correction and how it engages. So that's right there, the speed. And we're going to do an example of that in hard mode, so you really get what I mean here. The faster the speed will result in a more immediate and often artificial sound, while slower speeds offer a smoother and more natural transition. So in the real world, that would mean something like this. Let's go down to speed and set it at 1. All right, so let's set that at 1. So this would be the slowest and the least noticeable. Like, I'm on my way home, sweet home. I'm on my way, all the way to 10. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. And I'm just gonna hold note. Figaro, 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 Figaro. Now, on a lot of settings, the 50% is usually where people choose to set it. Even in AutoTune, which is the computer version of this thing, if you want to sound more electronic and you're doing electronic pop, you can boost that baby, or hip hop. If you want that, crazy sound, go to 10. If you want more natural, I would go between 2 and maybe 4 or 5, I don't know. So, the key and the scale setting right there and then right there, as you can see, beyond the harmony situation, you're going to define the musical context for the pitch correction when you're not using chromatic mode. Understanding how to set the correct key and scale is crucial for natural sounding results. Keep that in mind. We'll clarify the difference between these dedicated pitch correction settings and harmony functions, ensuring you know exactly which mode to use for your desired outcome. If it's set in chromatic, there's no specific key. So if you don't know the key and you don't know music theory and you don't want to bother, or the song may have 2 key signatures, like maybe the chorus is mainly in C and parts of the verse, but then there's other chords that go outside of the key signature of C major, just leave it on scale chromatic. Now, let's say you want to put it in the key. If your song's in C major, A minor, that's the key. Now, as you can see, it's the same thing like the others. You just turn this button and you look for the key signature. Go on to Google and type in the song you're playing or the cover song, whatever, and look up the key signature. I should warn, there's some issues with this, and we're going to talk about that in just a second here, but it's very simple. Oh, let me turn it off for a moment. It's driving me crazy. So that's different than this. This is for the harmonies. I guess I've never really asked or delved into why you would want to have harmonies that are in a different key, which technically you could do too. Because if you put that in F sharp and D minor, or excuse me, F major, D minor, and then you went back in here and looked at this situation and you went back to the effect and then you went back here, well, D and B minor, let's go ahead and go back to C major and see if it changes it. Exit. And as you can see, it didn't. So you could end up screwing this up by turning this stuff on, because then you would have a pitch correction of harmonies, I would assume, that's off, versus this one here, which is actually set in a C major, as you can see in the effect. And in case I misunderstand this, I will update the video if I'm misunderstanding the way Boss did this. I just found it, I don't find it strange, but I think in some ways, the way this whole thing should work, if I were designing this pedal, is if you change that side of it, your harmony should correlate to that key, but they don't. So that's kind of weird, I think, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's go ahead and get back to troubleshooting pitch correction issues and some basic music theory. Let's address some common challenges encountered when using pitch correction and touch on the essential music theory that underpins its effective use. So a frequent point, let me say here, a frequent point of confusion arises when a song appears to be in a single key, leading users to set their VE22 to that specific key. Let's say, for example, C major. Okay, so most of us are familiar with this song, if you like to rock. It's called Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue, which I believe is actually a cover song originally written by One moment, please. Sir Henry Bishop is I believe, the original writer of the song Home Sweet Home. I just want to point that out to a lot of people. Anyway, the song is referred to as being in the key of C major, and most of the song is in C major. However, I'll put some clips on the side here. When you look at the song itself, it contains a few other chords, and those chords are not in C major, A minor. And so you may be wondering, why is that an issue? It's an issue because if we go back to this, it's an issue because if your scale and key is set to C major, what it's going to do when you're singing, whether you're in, let me just turn this back on. So if, for example, whether you're in like electric mode, soft mode, it doesn't matter the mode you're in, okay? You could be like in the robotic. Well, actually, it kind of does because this one just gives you a note, but up to electric mode where it's the most powerful in your speed or whatever. Let's bump that up so you can really get an effect of hearing what I'm doing here. The issue is, I believe there's an E flat or B flat and so on, a few chords in there that are not in the key of C major. And so the issue then becomes when you're singing through those notes, like the diminished, I think there's a diminished chord in there, which contains like a B flat or E flat. And then when you look at your basic C major of those notes, when there's notes that don't belong, what's going to happen is, so, so I guess in closing, when your VE22 is then and therefore locked into a specific key, and there's other notes and chords in there that do not belong, well, it's not going to sound right. So the way you would want to address something that's very simple like that, or I should say, the solution for songs with shifting key signatures or chords from different keys is often to utilize the chromatic pitch correction mode, which again you can see down here. Let's turn it to that. So now there's no set mode. So whenever you're singing, like, Figaro, Figaro, Al Pacino, or whatever you're singing, or Home Sweet Home, this will bend to the closest one. However, the chromatic mode isn't always the perfect solution. So imagine you're aiming for a C note, but you consistently sing slightly sharp, closer to, let's say, a D, or slightly flat, closer to a B. In chromatic mode, VE22 will likely correct you to that closest note, D or B, let's say, respectively. Although your aim was to sing C, it's going to shift it closer to D or B because it's in a chromatic mode. It's going to go closer to whatever you're singing, even though your intention was to sing a C. There we go. So understanding basic music theory, such as key signatures and chord progressions, will empower you to make informed decisions about which pitch correction mode is best suited for a given song. Recognizing when a song stays within a single key versus when it moves through different tonal centers is key to achieving the desired results. So part 3, choosing the right pitch correction style for your genre. So the terms, as we were pointing out down here, let's change the mode. So as we can see down here, pitch correction mode, soft. The terms soft, hard, robotic, electric, and then even the flat mode are often used to describe the intensity and the character of pitch correction. Let's relate these different musical genres. So soft is equivalently gentle correction. This is typically the preferred setting for genres like rock and roll, country music, folk, bluegrass. So the goal here is often to subtly smooth out any minor pitch imperfections without the listener being consciously aware of the correction. And again, let's engage it. What do I mean by them not being aware of it? So let's go back to this thing real quickly just to make a perfect example. We have the speed set. Let's put this at C just so I'm going to purposely try to sing something so it sounds really lousy, hopefully. C, A minor, okay. So exit out, now we have the speed, that's cranked up to 10. So it's a little bit faster, so it's noticeable. So engage it. So now you can hear it like home sweet home versus home sweet home. And then I'm gonna try to sing like way off. Home sweet home. Home sweet home. Let's go to home sweet home. Let's go to home sweet home. Home sweet home. Now that should be really obvious. The home or the Figaro, 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 Al Pacino, fettuccine Alfredo. Fettuccine Alfredo. Fettuccine Alfredo. Fettuccine Alfredo. So it's off. On. Fettuccine Alfredo. Off. Fettuccine Alfredo, Robert De Niro. Al Pacino. Al Pacino. It's pretty obvious. And then when you add your other effects, it's quite pronounced. Like, listen once. Fettuccine Alfredo. Fettuccine Alfredo with a little bit of echo sauce. Echo sauce. So on, so forth, throwing some harmonies. C major, A minor, electric. And now we have something you could use. Maybe for electric music. But not really country or rock and roll. That's what this mode is for. That's what this mode is for. So now it's not as pronounced. And again, you can make it less pronounced, as I already pointed out, by turning your speed down to 5, or less. Again, experiment is going to be key and use this video as a way to navigate around everything. All right, getting back to what I'm saying here. So what I was displaying there is also called the hard and more aggressive stuff there. And you may be wondering, then what's the point of that? Well, that style, as I said, it introduces a more noticeable effect, which is often characterized, as you heard, by the rapid transitions between each pitch. Meaning, as I said, when I had it in electric mode is the one I really noticed. As you can see this, like, that's what I meant with the fettuccine alfredo, fettuccine alfredo, fettuccine alfredo, fettuccine alfredo, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino, and so on. Okay. So, yeah, it really comes down to a sense of choice and personal preference. Obviously, you can mix genres. If you want to go robotic correction and you want to sing AC/DC and robotic correction, go for it. If you want to sing, Back in Black, I hate to say it's no I'm made to be black. Like that, you know what I mean? Versus like, or ain't nothing but a country boy. I don't really know any country songs, but that's what I meant. Versus down here, where you would think something like the I ain't nothing but a country boy. You know what I mean? Where it's not as noticeable. I ain't nothing but a country boy living in my car playing guitar. But you basically get what I'm saying, I think, or I hope at this point. Experimenting with different intensity settings on your VE22 here will allow you to discover which style best complements the genre and the artistic intent of your performance. Extra notes on microphone bleed with guitar is also a common concern when using pitch correction on vocals. So basically, somebody said to me, and I'm just throwing this in here at the end, microphone bleed from guitar or other instruments. Let's quickly discuss the issue with that. A common concern when you're using pitch correction on vocals, as I'm using them now, will negatively impact the sound of a guitar being played simultaneously, either during a recording or in a live setting. This is a phenomena often referred to as microphone bleed. Yes, it is indeed a potential. I'm not going to lie about it. I don't work for Boss. I'm not being paid or anything. This is something I like to play and experiment with. It's my passion. But point I'm trying to get at is most of the time you hear microphone bleed, and what it means is in a live studio session, mainly with drum kits. That's why everybody does multi-track recording where they record a single track at the same time. It happens mainly because the guitar string vibrates, right? It doesn't just produce a single static pitch. There's a natural oscillation and subtle movement and pitch between notes within chords. In the words of Steve Vai, if you don't know who that is, look Steve Vai up and look this up. A guitar actually is never fully in tune. Although somebody did invent a guitar that has fretboards that move kind of slightly up and down, that is very close to being in tune. Your microphone is going to pick up a significant amount of this guitar sound along with your vocals. The pitch correction over here algorithm is going to be very confused. Remember, this pitch correction, whether it's in robotic or hard, so if the pitch correction is looking for "I'm on my way, home, sweet home," when you're trying to sing from a C into an E minor or something, whether it's in chromatic or the key of C, your guitar, if you're playing 4 notes in a chord, like, let me grab my guitar here. So I'm just going to play my guitar and I'm going to play it on hard here. Have a listen. It doesn't sound very good because you have 4 notes competing, so the algorithm of the pitch correction is going to go all over the place. In a live performance scenario where separation isn't always feasible, you can take a few or several steps to minimize guitar bleed. First off, consider using, if you're going to use pitch correction at all in a live situation, don't be going up here if you're playing, acoustic country with the mode thing and you're worried about the guitar doing weird stuff. Keep it down in the soft and then go into your menu and the effect and set your speed over here at something like 1 or 2 so it barely affects the guitar. That's my best suggestion. Now there's one other thing I want to point out too. Microphone. Where is your microphone placed? Excuse me. A lot of times when people are singing and playing, they're going to have it faced about like that, horizontally, as if the sun were to set. My best suggestion to mitigate microphone bleed into your performance is have it more upright. You can barely see that. If it's upright where it takes in the sound up here, it's less likely to catch the bleed and reflections from down here because they bounce up. It could catch, yes, it'll still catch a little bit, but point it about like angled up, I don't know, at 45 degrees or no, what is that, 90 degrees? I'm not a mathematician, but you get what I'm saying. Or even like that is your best option, almost pointed at the ceiling directly up. That's about the only thing I can tell you about that. Or use a lavalier or something like that, a very tiny microphone close to your face. Anyway, pay close attention to that. Stage volume balance. Carefully manage the volume levels of your vocals and instruments on stage as well, ensuring a good balance where the vocal is going to be dominant. That's the other thing I would tell you. So thank you for watching the video. So if you understand these factors and implement these techniques, you can more likely and effectively utilize pitch correction capabilities of your Boss VE22 while minimizing unwanted artifacts caused by microphone bleed and other instruments and everything else. If you have any other questions, whether it's microphones or the Boss VE22 or other pitch correction pedals that I have, go ahead, go through my videos. Please subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and I'm trying to grow the channel again. And let me know your thoughts, or let me know what you do if you use pitch correction. Let me know what you do if you use pitch correction and you play guitar to avoid either microphone bleed or just avoid the guitar in general from sneaking in to this girl here while using pitch correction. Thanks for watching. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.